Hey there, Barrys. Welcome to episode 4 of our coaching class that we've been doing. Coaching School, I think I've titled the series. I believe most of you guys have been enjoying the series so far, which is a huge thumbs up. And today we're going to be looking at the last person in our group of people. We're going to be looking at DeadlyLaugh. He is from NA. He's the only person from NA actually in the list of people, so hopefully we can bring over a different server perspective as well, not just a different role, as he likes playing tank supports as well. So in the previous episodes of the series, we've looked at a couple of mages. We've also looked at a enchanter as well with the Seraphine, and now we have a tank player. And I'm just going to bring in DeadlyLaugh in now, so if you could feel free to unmute your microphone, DeadlyLaugh, and say hello to the world. Oh, hold on. You might still be muted. I think you're muted still. Are you muted still? I can't hear you.
Oh, I had two mutes on just in case. I apologize.
It's all right. How you doing? Good morning.
I'm good. I'm good. How are you? Good morning.
It must be incredibly early where you are if you're in NA, because it is 1 o'clock here.
Yeah, it's 6:45, but I get up about 5 o'clock every day, so it's all good.
I hope you've had your coffee, because it's going to be an intense session here this morning.
Not yet. I don't need coffee though. I'm good.
Okay, awesome. So let's fill everyone in terms of your ranking and stuff. So what rank are you in solo queue at the moment?
Right now I'm silver 4.
Okay, so yeah, that kind of meets up with kind of everyone else in the series. I think the highest person we have is silver 2. I believe that the lowest is around about bronze 2, bronze 3. So everyone is going to be roughly around about the same ELO starting this off. So I did mention that you're a tank player. What kind of tank supports do you like playing?
Well, as you had shown my previous games, it's pretty evident that I love Leona the most. And then I'll do Nautilus. My off role is the jungle, so then I do either Rammus or Sejuani in the jungle because they're pretty tanky.
Right. So you do like your tanks then. I'm not going to be covering any of the jungle side off-roll stuff, unfortunately for you, but we will be looking at some of those Nautilus games, maybe the Leona games as well, as the weeks progress, and we will do more coaching sessions with you after this one. Let's start right at the beginning. What made you want to apply for this in the first place?
Man, I just want to get better. I really love playing League. But I'm just frustrated that I can't advance beyond like silver 3, I think is my highest. And I just want to figure out how to get better. So what I do with everything, I just try to be as best I can.
And I will do my best to help you put you on the right track on how to get good.
Well, I appreciate it.
As always with everyone, I do tell them, obviously, I can do my best on my part. All I ask is that you do your best on your part during this next, the weeks coming, and putting the games in, which I did notice you did play a lot of solo queue games, and you did lose a lot, which is very good for me, not so much for your ELO, but it's good for me to
The very frustrating one was the 49-minute one, because we had an Aurelia who just stood around and emoted the whole time.
Okay, well you make me aware of the ones that are particularly toxic, so we don't have to view those.
Yeah.
And
don't do the 49-minute one. All other ones should be fine.
Okay, cool. So, is there any questions that you have going into this before we start off? Any regrets?
No regrets. I mean, questions. I don't know. I just don't even know what I need to do to get better. So I mean, that's the real reason to reach out, is I need somebody to help me figure out what I'm doing wrong.
And that's the kind of mentality that we need, is that the person that we're coaching wants to improve. So that's all I can ask is, So let's get into a game. You can now close your webcam if you wish to. You don't have to have that all up. You can now pick your nose in peace, and
all right, perfect.
We'll bring up your profile on stream. So you said, which game was it that you said to avoid? The 49-minute one?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we'll avoid that 49-minute Leona game. That's fine. Thank you for the heads up on that. And as I said, thank you for losing so many games. We have so many different games to choose from now.
Yeah, so you're welcome. I did my best for you. So
which champion do you prefer playing? Like, do you prefer playing Leona or Nautilus?
I 100% prefer Leona.
So okay, let's focus on I was gonna say focus on Nautilus. Focus on Leona then for today's session. The one that's looking the most interesting one, and if it isn't for this 49-minute one, is this 28-minute one. Does this game, do you think
Yeah, this should be fine.
this will be fine? Okay, and you're up against a Kaiser Zyra. Okay. All right, let's get this on. Let's start this off. Do let me know if you want me to screen share on Discord in case there's any like delay or anything. Would you like me to do that for you, or are you okay watching the stream?
The stream should be fine. I think it's just a couple seconds. Unless you want it, screen shared.
I'll screen share it for you.
Okay.
And then chat, let me know if there's any lag or any issues like that, and I'll resolve them for you. There we go. You should see the gameplay. Yeah?
Yep, got it.
Okay, awesome. So, we are Leona. Let's have a look at runes just before we kick stuff off. So, Leona, runes. Point of life, conditioning's fine. Don't have any issues there. Tenacity's good. Hex Tech Flash. Okay, so you've taken Hex Tech Flash. I'm going to be interested to see how you utilize this in this game.
Yeah.
I want to see how comfortable you are with this. If you're not too comfortable on this, then the other rune to replace this with would be Cosmic Insight.
All right.
So I'm going to be paying attention to see how often and how much use you're going to get out of this Hex Tech. And yep, the runes are fine. So, so overall, this rune page I would find if I saw this in the game, even in high elo, that would be fine. Alright. Let's have a look here. So your AD carry is AFK. And yeah, I probably wouldn't scout this far by yourself. But you know, you're okay. Your team picks up first blood, okay. Just making sure that they don't invade. No real risks here. But one thing I will say is that because your team has already made it clear that they're on blue side, they're on enemy red buff, and they just got a kill here, the enemy team will more than likely look to try and make sure they get their own red buff. But you've already got a ward here. I don't think you placed this one. I think Miss Fortune placed this.
I think that's correct.
So you're gonna know about this. So yeah, if your jungler is invading on the other side, just expect them to be invading on your side. Okay, so so at this point you can see like your red buff's been taken. You have a ward. So if I were you, I would be wary of the jungler coming down into this tri-brush and then ganking you guys. So you wouldn't try to have a ward placement here if possible. I don't believe you actually used your ward trinket yet.
No, I should have it.
Yeah, you have it. So knowing this information here straight away, my greatest concern would be you getting ganked by the Sejuani after she takes buff level 2, because she's gonna want to kind of go out of this way anyway to enter into her blue buff so that she gets 2 buffs. So yeah, the most likely case is she'll be here. If you've pushed in bot lane too much, then you're going to be exposed at the back here. So I would get a ward in this tri-brush basically just to prevent them from coming down. So Miss Fortune's actually interacting with this. Yeah, ideally you don't really want to interact with this because of this the exact scenario. Their jungler is now level 2. And also you're going to be losing resources down here. These minions are going to be dying with nobody claiming them.
So it would be better to just let her die and get those resources?
I think I don't think you told her to back off. I think that the very first thing you have to do in a situation is tell her not to be there in the first place. And also you would have had a ward here anyway, like as I mentioned, because if you know that they're at this buff, then you want to make sure that you can see where the Sejuani is going after she exits your jungle. So I think being with her here is okay, but I think you need to make it more... You need to use the ping system more in order to tell her that she needs to not be there, basically.
Okay.
I mean, this is now going to be really, really, really bad for you guys because now MF has used both summoners. She's now half HP for this lane phase. I think at this point here, I wouldn't bother interacting. It's all about getting back into this lane as quickly as possible. I think you're kind of like delaying time here for yourself. Yeah, you're still kind of like posturing and looking aggressive, but there's honestly nothing that MF or you can do to threat them. My main concern for you is just to get to level 2 as quickly as possible.
Okay.
Leona has a really tough time until she hits level 2. When she has level 2, she then has options to actually commit and engage.
Yeah, I also play the worst against Zyra.
Yeah, so Zyra is one of those champions when you're playing a tank support. It's like her job is to make sure you're poked down as early as possible so that you can't engage. And then when you do eventually get to reset and get your health back, it's going to be about you know, trying to engage as quickly as possible in order for you to make sure you don't get poked back down again. So at this point, I'd say you're quite healthy, honestly. You're quite healthy. MF has enough health in order to facilitate a trade. You do have a summoner disadvantage, so you're going to have to be careful about it. But if anyone gross mispositions, you can still punish them at this point in time. But in the back of your head, I'd be thinking about potentially like trying to find a good reset as soon as possible. Okay, so here's an interesting moment opportunity of time, and it's really funny actually that I've done 2 Zyra coaching sessions already, making it so that I've noticed that they made the same mistake where they've cast out their roots randomly like this, and now they put themselves in an exposed position. And this person here is doing the exact same thing, overstepping, doing an E just randomly and missing. I'd say here is a really good opportunity to look to engage. When someone like a Lux or a Zyra uses their like binding ability, once that's down, they have no way to peel you off if you engage on them. And she's incredibly far overextended here. Even like here you could have engaged. Like she mega stepped forward there. I think you just E instantly and Q into that. MF then gets a bit of damage overlap. After that, you probably would have to start walking backwards from that because you've done everything. Everything will be on cooldown, but you can 100% look to punish this Zyra here. I'm just gonna go back in time a little bit, just so you can watch that again. So she throws out. I mean, even like kind of here, she's kind of overstepping, but she still has her E, and there's a lot of minions in the way, so it would be a little bit risky. But as soon as she uses that E, that root, so on a relatively long cooldown at this stage of the game, yeah, she
right there. I should look to go in.
Well, first you don't know if she's going to miss it or not. If she lands it onto Misfortune, then you're posturing up forward a little bit, dissuading them as much as possible to go into a Misfortune. So in either scenario, whether or not she lands this E, you're looking to go forward anyway. I think if MF does get caught by this is like, I wouldn't 100% fully commit to the engage. I'd be more into like the protecting her, making sure that she can get out of that situation. But because it missed, and the bonus points of her actually moving forward here, and honestly she keeps moving forward and forward and forward for no reason whatsoever. Like this is like a perfect opportunity. Right now she's in your E range, so now that her E's on cooldown, she is super vulnerable here. You'll have that annoying slowing plant to deal with, but plants die in 1 melee hit. So you just like give that a slap after you've done your combo on the Zyra. But yeah, here would have been a really nice opportunity to like partially engage, do your E, your Q, maybe whack in an auto attack, and then just back off again. Because they are full health and you guys are summoners down, you still want to respect the trade overall, but you can definitely like use that to punish them and then back off. It's going to be even better for you once you hit level 3 as well, because you're the damage reduction that you take from that W as well. And also another thing to look out for is like the Zyra's mana. Once she starts like overextending like that with no mana, that's also a really good opportunity for you to go in. Like another instance again here of her just using her E randomly, then I would be like looking again, can we make a play here maybe? At this point in the game, I would like to see like this brush forward. If they're pushing into you this much here, then you're going to need vision of this brush. Okay, so we've hit level 3. Level 3 is like the best power spike for Leona until 6. Okay, once again, okay. Zyra just committed to her Q and her E. She's moving forward into you guys, and look where the Kaiser is. She's like
far away.
absolutely miles away. I mean, Zyra at this point has no mana anyway, but everything on her is going to be in cooldown. Like E at this point, 12 seconds cooldown. She has summoners, so she might be able to flash away for this and get away, but you can definitely look to punish this again. For me, if she isn't quite in E range, I would flash E on this. She just needs to get punished into the situation here. So you're using everything you can. So you're doing, you know, EQW, getting in as quickly as possible. Oh, she is in like dead. Like that is gross. Actually, that she's walked that far forward. I would definitely look to engage here, which I hope you're gonna do. No. Okay. So yeah. Do you see how she did move up so far forward there by herself? Yeah. Do you know why you didn't engage there? Like, do you know what was going in your head there?
I mean, pretty much when it comes to solo queue, I have two fears and problems, I think, that I'm noticing. Is one, I'm not trusting my ADC, so I'm playing farther back than maybe I should. And then, especially with Zyra, I lose so much to Zyra that I'm just scared of doing anything.
Okay. One thing I'll say is, okay, so let's just look at it from your perspective and not the AD. Like, pretend you haven't got an AD carry here, okay? Like, she has, look how, if pretend like there's no AD carries involved here whatsoever, right?
Okay.
This Zyra has no mana. Like, imagine this was a 1v1 and the Zyra literally just walked into you like this.
Oh yeah, that'd be going on her.
Yeah, you got full mana, you're pretty much full HP, you have all your abilities ready, you have Ignite and Flash. You could, in theory, just 1v1 her with no AD carry here. Do you see that? So yeah, just take the AD carries out of the equation and look at it more like that. I mean, you got the bonus points as technically the AD carry isn't really here anyway because they are a mile away. She would have to like E-4 to take part into this fight, whereas your AD carry, all they would need to do is just like, you know, they're basically in the attack range anyway. So you two are paired up really nicely in terms of positioning. If you were to go in here, MF would 100% participate in this fight. If Zyra got caught in a position like this, I would even argue this Kaiser might even think, oh my god, right, I'm probably not even going to take part because that is so far away from where I am right now. So when someone this squishy, whether it's an AD carry or a squishy support, and they've already used their crowd control ability, and they have had no reward from their crowd control ability, you must always look to punish. I'd rather you take the risk here and ends up like, even in this situation it's no risk, but I'd rather like when you're in solo queue you take a little bit of a risk here than not, because otherwise you won't learn from when it's okay to go in and when it's not okay to go in.
Gotcha.
Okay. I mean, once again, I don't know, this Zyra is walking into your E range again winningly with no mana whatsoever, and once again, look at the positioning of the Kaiser. I would love to see you engage here. Oh, I thought you were going to engage there, but you queued the cannon minion. Ah.
Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking.
Yeah. Okay, if you haven't used your wards at this point in the lane, when you're getting a little bit this deeper into the lane, then you need to start thinking about people coming through down the river.
Yeah, I used it earlier in the bush. Me and MF used it at the same time.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
Okay, so the Q here is good. The Ignite here is good. The E's good. I think MF will die, but yeah, it's a 1-for-1 trade. Overall, it's fine, and Zyra uses her Ignite, which is a little bit of a waste. If Sejuani wasn't here, you could actually kill her.
Really? As Leona I could?
Yeah, I think you could. She has no mana. She would have enough mana for one spell, but I think you could do some serious damage to her. Like, Leona damage early is actually gross, even if no one's activating her passive. Okay, so you have a bit of an awkward situation here. So you both AD carries traded 1-for-1, but this minion wave is going to be pushing in towards the enemy turret. So this means two things, that this wave is basically in a dangerous position where if you were to look to shove it in, I mean, you know where their jungler is, they're right here, but it would leave you exposed to being ganked. Also, it gives the enemy team an option to potentially freeze this lane and hold this wave off here. And it would make it, when you come back into lane, difficult. Now, on a tank support, I think there's nothing you could... I think in this specific situation here, there's nothing that you can do to help this lane, this wave, just because their jungler's down here. Because if you were to move up here, you would lose to the 2v1. So I think here, I think you just need to get the reset in. Just make sure you got the items back with your misfortune. I think if both of you recall and you come back into lane, and Zyra's still here and hasn't bought items, I would be looking to be very aggressive and try and make sure this Zyra doesn't have an opportunity to recall and get items. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
So both of you have got items. Kaiser gets items as well, but the Zyra is stuck in lane with no items.
Gotcha.
Okay, so okay, so the reason why being aggressive here isn't the right call is because of two things. You got the minion wave. You need to reset with your AD carry, ideally, as often as possible. B, the enemy AD carry just died, so they're going to be coming through the lane very quickly at this stage of the game. So if you actually did connect this Zenith Blade in through, you would have had to flash back over this wall very quickly because you would have been overextending.
Gotcha. Yeah, I remember this game now. I was playing very frustrated because I haven't been doing well.
Yeah, so now you're in a very overextended position here. You're looking for a fight where you really don't have the right to have a fight. You kind of waste your flash, and yeah.
Yep.
So you could you see how it would be much better just to recall and then pair up a game with your AD carry?
100%.
Okay. Let me just check what you buy here. You've got boots and normal. That's fine. Control wood refillable. Okay, yeah, your buy is good. Your next point of interest is trying to maybe get this river warded. I know you probably are maybe a little bit concerned that they just did dragon, but whenever you feel comfortable doing that, that's when you need to kind of look to making sure no one comes down. Because right now you guys don't have vision in this brush. Maybe once this lane is pushed in a little bit, you can maybe look for that.
Yeah, I don't think I went because I didn't know where Zyra was.
Okay.
So I didn't want to leave lane.
One thing, okay, so if you're not really sure where to position in the lane, in a situation like this, the best thing to do is to go into a brush. So just get into this brush here, or this brush here, and just make sure like the enemy can't see you basically, because it does two things. It gives you an opportunity to potentially engage from a brush, but it also means that the enemy team doesn't know where you are. So kind of like the same thing how you mentioned that you didn't know where the Zarya was, so you didn't know exactly where she was, so it's like making you confused maybe slightly. You can do the exact same thing as well. You can just hide in one of these brushes and cause the same kind of like, oh, are they actually moving around the map? Or are they still in the lane? Does that make sense? So instead of just walking around like aimlessly here looking like, it's much better just to be patient and just wait into a brush here.
Gotcha.
Okay, so now you know where the Zyra is. I think still at this point, whenever the Zyra has been doing this a lot this laning phase, mega overextending away from her AD carry. And she wants to gain throughout not just her Q, but also her E. So you could totally look for a potential engage here, because all Zyra can do for the next like 8 seconds really is auto attacks.
Gotcha.
Now, the main reason why you might be hesitant to potentially engage here is because you don't know where the enemy jungler is. But then we go back to the previous point where we need some vision in this area here.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Because if we knew that Sejuani wasn't in this area here, you'd be looking more confident to engage on the Zyra.
Gotcha.
Because now you're just letting her just do free hits onto you, basically. I would still look to always posture from the brush.
Mm-hmm.
You're taking an awful lot amount of free damage now. And you can see the longer it takes for you to engage on a tank like this, you're going to get to a point where you're going to be so low health that you're not actually going to be able to go in anyway. Like now at this point you know that Sejuani's been up top side. She was ganking top, so you know that it's a 2v2 down here.
Yeah.
There's a really nice MFQ there on the Zyra. But there might be too many minions here to actually fully engage, and also Misfortune's missing out on mana. So I think your moment of opportunity has got... Oh, there's another one here actually. Like, there shouldn't have been really any other opportunities for you to go onto Zyra here apart from the other one that we mentioned. But here it comes up. She does it again.
Oh yeah.
Look how far away her AD carry is, and look how far overextended she is. She is basically under turret here.
And nothing happens to her.
Exactly. That is like illegal in like all 50 states or however many states America has.
50,
okay.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah, I guess so. I used to be more aggressive, but I just I've had so many bad experiences with, like, even in this case, like my ADC not following up, and then their ADC comes back to the play, and I'm dying, and so I just don't know how to get over that.
Yeah, I think even I'm feeling violated right now. Like what? Like look how many times she actually comes back into your E range. 2, 3, 4. So 85. There's a 5th one there as well. So yeah, she is overextending massively there by herself. She's just asking to be punished. Okay. Yeah. So whenever someone this squishy is in your face like this, particularly in the laning phase, you need to get on that, engage it as quickly as possible. This can't be happening when you're playing Nautilus or Leona. Your job is to engage on these squishy supports or squishy AD carries when they overextend, and this is very extreme as well in terms of mispositioning as well.
Gotcha.
Okay. Even if you don't trust your AD carry, just do it anyway, because you as a Leona are going to be pretty strong into this anyway. Even if it's just like, we can go back here 15 seconds. When she is here, you pop in your E, W, and queuing in straight away, and you can pretty much almost solo her here.
Gotcha.
MF might be a little bit slower to like react into this, but now she's got her summoners back up, and you have your ignite. Like, worst case is that she flashes away and gets away on 10% HP. Best case scenario is you get a kill. I don't think there is a worst case scenario here. Like, I don't think there's like anything bad that would ever happen here. Just because like she is so alone.
Gotcha.
You don't know this because you didn't see the recall from Kaiser, but now she's actually alone here as well. If you did know that she was alone here, I'd be waiting in this brush here. I think you would probably get the vibes that she was alone here because the AD carry isn't here farming now at this point. I'd wait in this brush here and get ready to channel Hex Flash and look for a Hex Flash E. I know you'll be dramatically further ahead than your AD carry here, but once again, Leona is actually stronger than Zyra in the 1v1 matchup at this early stage in the game.
Gotcha.
Okay, so now what's basically happened is that Kaiser has now come back into the lane with items. So now you guys are going to be at a disadvantage.
So should we have kept the wave where it was instead of trying to push it in?
If you had an inkling that their AD carry had recalled like this, you would either engage on their support that was overextending and make sure that they don't get the CS that way, or you would push in and then look for your own reset yourself and make sure they don't freeze it. I think as soon as you see Kaiser come back into the lane here, I think you just need to, with your amount of health that you're pretty healthy here, I would try and just like, you know, W most of this wave, get the relic shield charges off, and then kind of hope they wouldn't freeze at this point. Because you got a big wave here. Okay. That's really interesting that you see how, like, even though Kaiser came back into the lane with items, is full HP and healthy, you chose a time to go in there onto the Zyra, and look how much you actually won that anyway.
Yeah.
So if you had done that when she was by herself or overextending massively over here, and then she would have to go all of the way this way back to her turret, like, that would have been really good. I'm not exactly sure what incentivized you to go in here, but I like it, and I would love you to do more of this when she's overextending and you use her crowd control abilities already. You get the flash out of her. Like, overall, you did use Ignite, but you got the flash out of her, so it was actually a good trade. Even though you've had like 5-6 opportunities to do way better engages on her, that was still a good play.
Thank you.
I think that... Okay, yeah, so... I think you're just kind of struggling about knowing when to engage. That's like the main feeling I've got here. At this point, you guys should have some urgency in terms of like wanting to recall. I would help push this wave in as quickly as possible. And then you guys want to reset. You guys don't want to overstay here. Once again, because Kaiser has bought, she has items over you. Also, you're not going to be able to take a turret plating with this kind of weak wave at this point in the game. This turret is full HP. So, like, you're not going to get actually anything from pushing this wave in. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So at this point, both of you just need to, like, go back, recall, go by, and then come back into lane. I'm assuming you guys die here because of the gank. Yeah.
Yep.
And Herald's going to be pop bot. It's going to be rough for you guys. Okay. That's going to be really rough for you guys now because Kaiser bought. Honestly, it's nice seeing you being more aggressive for a change now. Ends up being okay for you guys. So I wonder what happened. Do you think, like, you know, was there something in like real life distracting you for like the first 10 minutes here, and it feels like you suddenly just flicked a switch and you suddenly gone, okay, I actually like really want to engage now from playing passive? Do you think it's because you
Possibly.
Do you think it's just because you hit level 6 now, you felt more comfortable now because you have your ultimate?
That's definitely part of it. I always feel way more confident when I have my ultimate. I can't remember what time of day I was playing this, but it's likely that I had some IRL stuff distracted me or pulling my attention, so I wasn't confident going in.
Okay. So what I'd say is obviously try not to play ranked if you're going to have distractions IRL. I'm sure that's a no-brainer anyway. But yeah, I think I want to see you be more confident without your ultimate when you're like when you hit that level 2, that level 3 power, like level 2, level 3 Leona is incredibly strong. And then you kind of got like level 4, level 5 is kind of like whatever. And then once again at 6, which you have identified, is where you're a lot stronger as well. But the level 2, level 3 opportunities, level 3 is generally better because it means when you go in, you're going to be taking a lot less damage anyway because of how tanky you are with those extra stats. But there's still going to be opportunities at level 2 to get that combo off. Maybe you got level 2 first and the enemy bot lane was still level 1. Like, that is like a perfect opportunity to go in at level 2. It's just a little bit more aggressiveness earlier in the laning phase, because you want to engage genuinely as quickly as possible before you end up in a situation where you get poked down. So if I was like at this amount of health here, I'd be like looking, okay, how can I reset and get back into lane with full HP again? If I was at this health, I wouldn't be looking to stick around and look for more fights at this health. Okay, since you guys go for the plate, you have to help push in for this cannon wave, and then you must reset after this. So I would be like moving in here with my W, doing the explosion, and then like doing my E just to help wave clear it. And relic shield on the cannon minion. Yeah, you can't leave this wave here like this because both of you are going to be looking for a reset now. I like that you're doing aggressive vision, but the first thing you must do is sort out the wave first.
Okay.
Because in high elo in particular, what a team will do is they will just freeze this wave. And then this bot lane is completely screwed for the next 2 minutes. So Kaiser and Zyra could tank these minions, just hold the wave here, wait until these minions come through, and then just continuously keep leaving the lane here in a safe position for them and just keep making it so that you would have to overextend to get the minions. So before you roam, always make sure that the wave state is okay.
Okay.
Like after you push this in, for example, say you did what I said, you W cleared this and then E'd it, made sure that it was pushing in, then you would roam around, etc. You spend the next 20 seconds trying to, like, you know, get deep vision, you know, helping out the scuttle is fine, and then you're looking then back at the wave and situation and having a look and making sure that the wave is okay again. So
Gotcha.
wave then roam. Okay, nice aggressive play because you've got the Kayn nearby. It's decent. You know, there's 2 people in the lane bot side. I would look... Okay, so after you've done your EQ combo, your ultimate was on cooldown still, I believe, here. The only concern I would have in this fight here is this blast. How is this Sejuani... Basically, the question you should ask after you've done your combo is, how is the Sejuani going to get away? Can you see how she could potentially get away?
Yeah, I mean, she could do her Q over on the wall, she could blast cone over, she could flash over.
Exactly. So one of the things you can prevent is that blast cone. So I would, after doing my EQ, I would walk over to this blast cone and just hit it. And just prevent like that as an escape option for her. Especially when there's so many targets DPSing her down at the same time. Like I would, like, the one potential possibility is like if she had flash, she could flash behind the blast cone and then just like zip over. Okay, I wouldn't... Okay, I like what you're trying to do here, but there's a couple of things that play here. I think you will die from this.
I think I do. Yep.
Okay, so...
I thought the Zed would be quicker on going in. That's why I stayed right there.
I think this is just too aggressive, particularly if how your resources are here with your health and your mana. So after you get that kill here, the priority is just doing the dragon. Everyone is going to want to be heading over to the dragon anyway. So Zed is going to be looking to go into his focal point of his camera, especially, will be dragon. Not necessarily what you're trying to do here.
Gotcha.
If I were you and this bastion was still open, I would stand on the other side of it, just hit it and just join your team. And then just deny this blast cone for any other follow-up for the enemy to come into. Because now you're forcing your team to do a play which is away from the main objective that they want to do in the first place. Because you can see your jungler and your AD carry are already on the objective. And now you're making a situation where if it was just the Kaiser, it'd be okay. But, you know, she's probably going to have teammates anyway nearby since you guys are competing on objective anyway. So they're probably heading to the objective anyway. So you're forcing another team fight here.
So I'm going in when I don't need to, and I don't go in when I need to.
Yeah. So just do the complete opposite of what you're doing right now and you'll be great.
Alright, perfect. Got it. Wave management and do the opposite engage.
Okay. I will say, playing tank support in low elo, well, in like bronze, iron, silver, it is the hardest thing to do. Out of all the roles. So, but if you can master it, it's actually the best role overall to be played in the higher elos. So if you can like identify when you're meant to be engaging properly and when to engage now, you'll actually probably find that you'll climb quite quickly. But it's the hardest thing to do as support. Okay, so you come back in after respawning. Regaining vision is fine. There's nothing else you can really do when your AD carry is coming back into lane, so looking for roam opportunities is good. Yep. Overall, even with the mistake here, I am preferring this aggressiveness this last 6 minutes than the passiveness of the first 6 minutes. Okay?
Gotcha.
Let's just have a quick look at your items. Okay. So you've taken steel caps this game. I'm not going to say whether it's the right or wrong reason. Do you know why you've taken those?
Well, I think part of my problem also that I'm still not 100% familiar with all the champions' damage, and so I was thinking I'd probably need more AD, more armor for the AD than MR or tenacity, since I already have tenacity runes.
Okay. So what I'll say here is actually for this game you've got the wrong boots. I would go Merc Treads against this team.
Okay.
So the two things you're looking at when you're a tank buying boots is how much crowd control is on the enemy team and how much auto attack is on the enemy team.
Okay.
Steel caps would mitigate a little bit of Nasus and a little bit of Kaiser, but they have a lot of crowd control on their team. You've got things like the Nasus Wither, you've got all of Sejuani's crowd control, you've got all of Galio's crowd control with his taunt, you've got the roots and the slows coming from the Zyra as well, so extra tenacity wouldn't be bad here. Plus, there is a fair amount of magic damage on their team as well. So you've got the Zyra, obviously. You've got Galio, who's AP as well. You've got Kaiser has a decent chunk of magic damage as well in her kit. Her passive, I believe, as well, when she procs that, is also magic damage. So I would say for me, it would be tenacity boots.
Okay.
If they had more like melee assassins, if they had like multiple ADs, or if they had like, you know, the main source of their damage was coming from auto attacks, then the steel caps would be better here. But against this specific team composition, I would say Merc Treads would be better. So
Alright.
yeah, so
noted.
So it's either they have lots of auto attacks versus how much crowd control they have.
Okay.
If that's
one thing I did notice the other day playing with another friend was like, I just don't know when to buy which boot sometimes.
Okay. Sometimes it looks like there might be like a 50-50 split between like how much magic damage and how much auto damage that's coming through. I think at that point you just need to kind of potentially guess which one is going to carry. Maybe when you bought the boots you thought like maybe the Kaiser was potentially going to carry, so that's maybe why you opted into it. But I would try and like overall look at the massive picture and say, okay, like when I go in these fights, I'm gonna get crowd controlled a lot, and I don't want to be in that situation. So opt into generally what's going to be more beneficial for you in that mid game onwards.
Okay.
Yeah, and I wouldn't buy anything like Moby boots. I don't think, especially at your ELO.
I don't think I ever buy Moby boots.
Yeah, so don't buy Moby boots at your ELO. I don't think you would necessarily get the maximum benefit of it anyway, and I'd rather... And with how the tanks that scale nicely with Leona's W anyway, you'd be missing out on a lot of extra, like, free gold essentially anyway. So we're going into Locket here, which is fine. Okay, good use of oracles, using it just before you get into the river. Sweeping that out. Okay. Okay, you have...
I don't have the item completed yet.
No, but just checking you did have the wards coming from that anyway. So you guys are looking for a cheeky tower dive. Okay, so How did this end up?
So, uh, because the Zed came down, I was like, oh, he's probably going to want to go on the backside, and I thought MF was going to push more than she ended up doing, because I thought she was going to push the wave and the Zyra back towards us, but she never did. So, here in a sec, I remember now. Here in a second, I go over to the river brush and that wall, and I hex flash over to try and catch that Zyra because she overextends.
Okay, let's just play it through, and we can talk about it afterwards. Oh no. Okay. Okay. Alright. Excuse me. I like the play. So I wasn't criticizing the play. I think when this squishy support is farming by herself and you're technically 3v1, this is great that you're looking for a tower dive here. I'm going to say you can easily tank this turret. You can easily
just walk through and W.
Yeah, you're overthinking it too much. You're giving this turret a little bit too much respect when she's by herself. Also, if you're tanking this turret, it means that Zed, he's in incredibly low health anyway, but it means that he doesn't have to worry about turret aggro.
Okay.
Okay, so because you have Hex Flash, I would actually Hex Flash over this wall.
Okay.
And then look to E-engage on her as quickly as possible. If you land your E, you then stun her, then overlap your ulti on top. If she flashes, then you ult after her.
Okay.
I think you're just giving this turret just a little bit too much respect. If you were to die off of this turret dive, it would still be okay. Do you know why?
No.
Okay, so kills are worth 450 gold as long as there's an assist added to it. So if you were to die, Zyra would gain 300 gold, but your team would gain 450 gold because of the assist gold. Secondly, it would mean that your team would get to push in this wave as well, and you could potentially look for a turret here as well. So you'd be able to crash your minions into this turret, and it would mean that no one on the enemy team would be able to get like this wave, for example. Okay, so there's a lot of benefit here for killing this Zyra.
So they may get 300 gold, but we'd get way more, so it makes it worth it.
Yeah, and second, and like thirdly, to add on top of that is actually like the longer that you leave the situation with no reward, Zed is essentially like wasting his time here. So you want to make it worth his time coming down here.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that Zyra 100% should have died this fight. It's okay though. I like the thought of the play, at least anyway. It's just the way it was carried out was just not optimal.
Gotcha.
Just don't forget you are playing a tank, so you can take a few turret hits. Yeah, this is kind of an awkward situation here. I'm always hesitant to fight 2v2 when it's involving an enemy solo laner. Just because they should be a lot stronger than what the AD carry equivalent is, because they've had all the solo farm, etc., right? So technically I would be like, you know, respecting this because I wouldn't know how much power this Galio has here. Because he's had that solo lane farm for 15 minutes. Yeah, if you were in this 2v1 situation like this, and you had flash, which you actually do, I would look
to flash onto her.
I would look to commit on this. If you had ulti up, I would ult her first, though.
Yeah, I don't think it's up yet because I used it earlier.
Yeah. I think once again, Zyra is getting very ballsy being by herself as a squishy support when you guys are 2v1. Especially when you can see like their entire team is mid here. You're not rotating over mid to protect it. You flash forwards. Stun. There's not much else you could have done there. I can understand why you're playing into the situation here. You're trying to protect the Kayn. I think the flash could have been better. Let me just see where you flash from. Yeah, okay. So you can get more distance on your flash. It's another thing that you would have to learn as well if you want to play tank supports. So you opt into flashing in a straight line to try and get to this location quicker. But do you know how you can do it even faster than that?
No, sir.
Okay, so if you actually walk to this point here.
Okay.
Can you see where my cursor is?
Yes, sir.
So if you walk to here and then actually flash diagonally over this wall, the game will like shove you over the wall and will give you like more distance.
Oh.
Rather than like flashing in a straight line, you can use the terrain to make the game push you further, essentially.
Okay.
So I wouldn't actually flash just yet. I'd wait until getting like to this where this tree is and then just flash over the diagonal.
Okay.
It's kind of just like basic geometry, isn't it? Like going like like line then line down, but just going diagonal across is much faster.
I didn't know it pushes when you flash like that.
Okay, so what I would like you to do then, after we're done here, I want you to go into like the practice tool and practice like flashing over terrain.
Okay.
You can set your summoner cooldowns to be on like 0. I want you to practice flashing over terrains and seeing how far you can actually go over certain points of terrain. Because some big engages do involve flashing over terrain. Is very frequent, especially with Hextech Flash as well. Actually, when you do this test, make sure you don't have... I don't know if Hextech Flash interferes in the practice tool. Maybe have it off for the testing. For the flashing over the terrain testing. But when you do another test as well with Hextech Flash, and practice using the Hextech Flash over walls. Because you do have Hextech Flash here, but you didn't actually get to use it once in the laning phase, so essentially you've got a dead rune. If you don't feel confident about using Hextech Flash, just make sure you use that Cosmic Insight instead.
Okay.
I think we're getting to a point where it's coming into too much information mode. So I'm just going to see out the rest of this little game and just seeing if there's anything like super major to talk about here now. Because I think I've got like a lot of like, you know, we'll go over some of the points that I've made before. I'm just going to speed this up even quicker here. Because my only concern right now as a coach is giving you too much on your plate to deal with. Especially when I'm going to be seeing you in a week's time anyway. This is interesting what you're trying to do here. I wouldn't recommend it, doing something like this by yourself. Ends up working out for your team though, fortunately. I'd say that was pretty risky what you did there. I like this though. This is nice. You guys are in a position, and this, you've identified that this Nasus is overextending. Bonus that he's got like very little mana as well. I was gonna watch how to see how you take this on. But this is nice. Nice. Okay, he's just randomly using flash. This is very, very good for your team. In something like this, after killing their solo laner like this, you could potentially look at doing or forcing this Baron situation. Let's see if you guys end up looking at, or like maybe for example, you know, Zyra's overextending in mid. Could be a good rotation over to there now. Which it does look like that, someone's pinged for it. Yep. Okay, it's flash. If you survive this, this is really good for your team. Okay. I wouldn't go back in here though. You're not able to really contribute that much with your health here. If you were playing like a ranged support, you could look to hang out the back here and potentially look for, you know, casts at the back to, you know, do max range harassment or heals or whatever. But unfortunately for you, because you're a tank, the only thing you can do is commit to a fight. And with 10% HP, it's just not worth it. It's not worth the risk you giving the enemy team 450 gold for your death. Which you might end up... Oh, that is really lucky. Are you going back in again? Okay, you didn't die, which is good. Very risky.
What I'm taking away is I need to improve on my decision making.
I think everyone could always improve on their decision making. I think that's not just like a thing in it for you. I think it's a thing for everyone. I'm going to give you some basic points to work on, which will help you with that decision making. But I don't want you to be like overly harsh on yourself, because there are some positive moves that you have done this game. I just want to see more of the good moves and fewer of the bad moves.
Yes, sir.
Like, how are you feeling after I've told you all of this stuff?
I mean, I'm feeling great because I'm like, all right, here's some things to work on that to try and get better. So it's definitely not a downer at all, because I'm like, I already knew I needed I needed help, and so you're done what I've asked, and so I appreciate that. And so now I've got, you know, tasks to go do, like the flash practice.
Yep.
And just rewatching VODs of identifying where I should have went in and didn't, and then vice versa.
Good. So yeah, we won't look at any more of this game, since this game is nearly over anyway, and I don't want to get too much into the mid and late game technical information. I think we've got a lot here that we can focus on just the laning phase. What I like to say is, like, laning phase happens every single game, but late game doesn't. So if you can focus on making sure that your laning phase is as clean as possible, not only are you setting yourself up for a good later stage in the game, it is literally the most important part of League, is the laning phase, just because it is there every single game. Some games end at 20 minutes, some games end at 40 minutes, but no game is over at like 10 minutes unless you got an AFK in the base.
Gotcha.
Okay, so let's just revisit those points. So, when anyone squishy in this bot lane is looking to be overextending, as long as you and your AD carry have the resources, always look to punish them when you're playing a tank.
Okay.
Bonus points are like if the enemy AD carry is far away from the enemy support as well. But I want to see you taking more risks. Level 2, level 3, level 4, level 5. Okay?
Okay.
Just try not to get poked down too much at level 1. That's going to be her goal. That's going to be any enchanter or mage's goal against tanks, is poke down the enemy tank level 1 as much as possible, because they can't engage, right?
Yeah. So then should I take different runes to help with that, or does that not really matter?
I think everything you have here is fine, but unfortunately I haven't seen you use Hextech Flash once, I don't think. So maybe for this week, don't run Hextech Flash and run Cosmic Insight instead, because Cosmic Insight will at least give you lower cooldown on Flash and Ignite anyway.
Okay.
As it's passive, so you would technically like get at least a rune that's going to benefit you as opposed to a rune that you might only use once. Okay. Once you can identify more of when to go in, then we can look at bringing back Hextech Flash into your kit.
Right, got it.
Okay. So we just want to catch up those people that are overextending a lot by themselves. I want you to kind of limit test a little bit in the laning phase. It won't matter if you die from it. I want you to actually learn how much damage Leona does early and how much damage she can actually take. If you don't commit to any of these early fights, you're never going to work out, like, am I going to win this trade? Because it's only from those experiences of actually doing those trades will you know that it's a good trade or not. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
That's probably like the most important thing coming from this coaching session. Second one is wave first, then roam. Okay, and always look for good resets. Particularly if once your health starts getting lower and lower, the urgency for you to recall becomes higher and higher. Okay?
Okay.
And then finally, when an objective is being done, like the dragon for example, try not to force a team fight away from that location. Try and keep the... You can put the enemy off from coming in by like kind of posturing in terms of like, you know, if you want to get this dragon, you got to come through me, but don't go to them, because it's going to extend the distance between your team and yourself.
Okay, got it.
Okay, because tanks overall don't really do any damage to, you know, the dragon and the baron and stuff. But generally the job of the support is basically being gatekeeper to those objectives. You want to get this dragon, you got to come through me. But I'm not going to go to you. You got to come through me, right?
Yeah.
Because if they come through you, then you can do your thing, and your team's right there to back you up if needed.
So basically what I'm hearing is I need to be Gandalf.
Mm-hmm. But you don't want to fall into the pit of abyss, though.
Yes. That would be crucial.
So hopefully those points there. Practice flashing over terrain. Get used to maximizing distances on flash. Yeah, like I think later on, I think like this tower dive that was happening at the tri-brush, this is more advanced. I wouldn't expect... I was surprised that you had the initiative to look for a tower dive at your ELO, if I'm going to be brutally honest. I think this was good. The execution wasn't great. I don't want to put you off from looking from tower dives, especially when you're playing a tank support, but I think it's something that you're quite not ready to cover yet. Once we get you limit testing and understanding your limits a little bit more, then we can then take it up to the next step of looking at tower dives and things like that.
Got it.
Do you have any questions?
No. Got a lot of stuff to process and practice.
Mm-hmm. So yeah. Okay. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else I want to add. I think you're not the only one that's also been struggling in laning phase. I don't know if like this is extra comfort. I see this a lot, and this is why I generally only talk about a lot of laning phase stuff as well when I do coaching sessions. Is because, you know, once we pin this down, the next time we speak, we can maybe talk about more advanced stuff. But we've got to get through the laning phase first.
Gotcha.
I don't mind if you make a mistake every now and then. I don't mind if you miss a skill shot. It happens and stuff like that. So don't worry about that. It's just, do you have the intent, like the execution here of this tower dive? Do you have the initiative in the first place to go in when you need to? Is what I'm looking for. Okay. Because as long as you're in the right mindset of like when to do things, then the rest is just mechanical stuff, which I can't teach you. It's that bit, the execution itself generally comes down to you rather than what I can help you with.
Makes sense.
Okay, well, all the best, and
I appreciate your time.
Do let me know if you have any issues or whatever. You know, DM me if you've got a question or whatever.
Oh, will do. Appreciate the time and the help.
All right, and I'll speak to you. I'll arrange another time next week, and we can catch up and find out how you've been doing.
All right, thank you.
Okay, all the best. Take care. Bye. Right. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that coaching session. Hopefully, you might, if you're a tank support and you're playing in iron, bronze, silver, and you don't think you're making these kind of mistakes, most of you probably are, and I would highly advise you to check your VODs, just like 2 or 3 of them in your ranked games, and see if you're actually doing the same mistake. Because a lot of you guys in the same elo make the same mistakes. So have a look at your own VODs. Just have a look and see how separated are their bot lane. Could you have engaged on a squishy target? You need to identify those situations more often. Because when you're playing a tank support, it's the hardest role because you have to make those split-second decisions. When you're playing Zyra, for example, you know, if you're doing QW max range and then you're like hiding away, you're generally overall kind of safe. Whereas Leona, you're going to have to choose to commit. You're going to be asking that question pretty much every second in lane. Is she overextending? Is she overextending? Is she overextending? And then when you finally, yes, she is, then you're going in. You're zipping in, and that's when you punish. So it takes practice. You got to take the risks in laning phase. But once you can identify those times of when to go in, it will become second nature. You'll get used to it really, really quickly. But if you don't take the risks, you'll absolutely have no idea whenever to go in. So yeah, it's better to learn this stuff now rather than later. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of the coaching school that we've been doing. This was episode 4. And then hopefully the next episode will be revisiting someone from that we coached from the previous week and kind of see, and fingers crossed, we've noticed that they've ironed out some of the mistakes and we can focus into some more of the mid and late game stages of League. If you are watching this on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe. Don't miss out on those extra episodes. And all the best. Take care, guys, and stay very awesome.